Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, respected elders, and of course respected guests from London. Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to all of you. My job is to tell you a little bit about how the project of Viva Palestina started back 18, 19 months ago now. And we all remember the kind of images we saw on our television screens with children getting blown up with bombs and bullets coming from the skies. And we saw with our own eyes the devastation caused to a small strip of land, 5 miles by 25 miles. It actually is a very small strip, that's why they call it a strip. And commonly known as one of the most concentrated areas in the world, and even referred to by many as a concentration camp, with nearly 2 million people living within it, with very little water, very little food, and absolutely no more building materials. And you'll all remember the kind of emotions we all felt when those children were dying. 1,400 people died over a period of only 20 days, 22 days, and over 60,000 homes and mosques and buildings and schools and hospitals demolished to rubble sitting on the ground. And we have seen those with our own eyes, and they're still rubble because they will not allow building material into Gaza. Every single person of those 1,400 people that gave their lives and died and were ruthlessly and mercilessly murdered, a helpless group of people, armed, unarmed, defenseless, and a mighty power, a nuclear power, Israel, slaughtered them in cold blood. Every one of those individuals who did die on that day had a family like the rest of us. They had sisters and brothers and parents and wives and children and husbands. A loss of one life is not just a loss of one life, it is a devastation of a whole family and a whole community. And if you imagine the whole of the area being demolished to just rubble within minutes, every person you've ever known in your neighborhood is dead, everyone you've ever knew is dead, every building around your village is demolished, and it's like the surface of the moon. That's the kind of devastation, brothers and sisters, we witnessed in Gaza on the convoys that we did. But how did it all start off? It started off with an idea. And maybe George won't remember this, but many, many, many years ago, I knew him, but he didn't know me then. He gave me a little piece of advice. He said, in a darkened room, all it takes is for one person to light a match, and then everybody will see the light. And that was a piece of advice which I'll never forget, and I said, thank you very much for that. And what happened then was, I remember it was the 10th of January when we went down and marched down in London outside the Israeli embassy. And I remember it well because it was a very, very cold, bitterly cold, dark evening, and there were tens of thousands of people marching on the streets of London. And many men of all political parties came up on the stage and paid a little bit of lip service and said a few words, and once they did that, they thought they did their bit for Gaza, now let's go and have a few pints down at the pub, and they all went down. But one man stood out. One man stood out like a beacon of hope, and that was Mr. George Galloway, Member of Parliament for Respect at the time. And he said, well, we can't just go and talk about this all the time. What are we going to do practically? And I'm telling you what I am going to do, and then if you want to join me, you may. And he announced that he'll be getting in his 4x4 van, he will fill it up with medical aid, and he will drive from Bradford, from London to Gaza all the way, and he asked, is anybody going to travel with us? And hundreds and thousands of people put their hands up. That is how the idea of Viva Palestina started. And literally within 2 or 3 weeks, we had only 2 or 3 weeks to coordinate the whole effort, and mashallah, we had 125 vehicles full to the brim with medical aid. And I'm proud to say that Bradford was at the forefront of it all. We had the largest contingent on the first convoy, we had the largest contingent on the second convoy, and inshallah, as if I can help it, anything I have to do with it, we will have the biggest contingent, inshallah, once again. And I'd like to thank you, sir, for leading the way, not just Mr. George Galloway, but my friend, Brother Kevin Ovenden, who I think, yes, and I have said to Kevin privately earlier on, I said he is a legend and he will remain a legend for many of us who have travelled with him, not just the 6,000 or 7,000 miles, but every inch of the way we witnessed how these two gentlemen behaved, and they were right there in the front line of any danger that occurred. And I know they will be there again once more. The dangers we faced were incredible. Even on the first convoy, we had Egypt to deal with in Al Arish. Must be something about Al Arish. Maybe we should change our route. We got beaten up, but I know all our heroes of Viva Palestina, they are willing to put their lives on the risk and enter Gaza and break that bloody siege once and for all. We did it on Convoy 1, we did it on Convoy 2, we did it on Convoy 3, we did it on Convoy 4, and unfortunately our brothers lost their lives and paid a very, very heavy price. But I know that since that day, people have been calling me up and saying, Brother Arshad, we want to be on the next convoy, what can we do to be on there? And the people are opening up their hearts and saying, if those people can give their lives, our lives are not much more special than those who lost their lives. And inshallah, we will be trying to put together another convoy now as soon as possible. Inshallah, leaving on the 12th of September. That may change, but I'd like you all to keep in mind that we will be at the front of the convoy again. And anybody who wants to join, please get in touch with us. Get in touch with vivapalestina.org, vivapalestina.arabia. And from 18 months ago, if you cast your mind up, a single person coming up with an idea, and Viva Palestina is now not just a British registered charity, it is all over the world respected, and many dozens of countries across the world have now joined hands with Viva Palestina, and Brother Kevin and George will expand on that later on. It is a proud thing for us to have done, brothers, and as I look around I see many of our volunteer brothers and sisters who were on either the last convoy or the convoy before, and I salute each one of you, and I know you want to be on the next convoy as well, and I salute you also, and sisters and brothers, and look forward to working with you again. Thank you very much.